back on the Rob Dibble Show with Ben Darnell on your afternoon drive. Waiting for the other part of that to come in.
It always does this. It's a slow starter, and then all of a sudden, Scott Stapp comes out and he's shaking his little hips, wearing his
shirt on.
Oh, wait, Scott Weiland?
Yeah.
I get my Scots mixed up. And then this part
even close, and that's unacceptable.
I feel bad.
Staff is with
R.I.P. Scott Weiland. Sorry about that. I'll pour one out later for you. I went to the Oakdale to see STP minus Scott Weiland.
And how was it?
It was actually better than I expected, but it did just feel weird. It felt like we were cheating on him. It was like, sorry that we're doing this, but we're doing it.
Want to work still.
Yeah, that's what I felt for the bass player and the guitar player. It's like, yeah, you guys.
It's like Alice in Chains, some of these other great groups, man.
Saw Alice in Chains about a couple of months later and thought the same thing. Lane Staley? No. That's the football player. Am I right on that? Who am I thinking of?
You got that.
He's the Alice in Chains lead singer who has passed.
I think that's right.
Who's
used
the
to be
football
right in my
player
head.
I'm thinking of? Lane, the Philadelphia Eagle.
It was Lane Staley. You're right.
Yeah.
Thomas.
Lane Thomas?
Lane Staley
Thomas, am I thinking of? I get my lanes mixed up.
Wow, 22 years ago.
Pour one out.
Good God.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
I know. Think about that. Alice in Chains, the same thing. It was like, you guys are all right now, but we're missing something. We're missing something. So football, Dibs. We're talking enough STP and Alice in Chains for the day. You heard this sound from Rock 105.3, actually the Fan 105.3 in Dallas. They're playing a hot new jam they do every week called The Interview with Jerry Jones.
1970, a little different from this past off season in building the team we're talking about today, which there was a lot of criticism that you guys didn't add, didn't spend, and don't add, and don't spend, and are not aggressive enough with some of the problems that are still haunting the Cowboys today that we see play out on the field. That's the point of talking about the offseason.
Oh, I remember those criticisms very well. Okay, so what?
Are they playing out to be accurate?
What's your point?
My point is, it seems like
Listen, let me tell you what I'll do. About it. I will let us sit down and look at the decisions we've made over the last several years. Okay? I'll look at it. Now, if you think I'm interested on a damn phone call with you over a radio and sitting here and throwing all the good out with the dishwater, you have got to be smoking something over there this morning. I'm not. And I really don't, and I don't even want our listeners to listen to me, to talk about, this is not your job. Your job isn't to let me go over all the reasons that I did something, and I'm sorry that I did it. That's not your job.
Well, my job is to ask why.
Job, or I'll get somebody else to ask these questions, man.
Jerry, we're trying to figure out why the team is.
I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you. You're not going to figure out what the team is doing right or wrong. If you are, or any 5 or 10 like you, you need to come to this meeting I'm going to today. There are 32 teams here.
Bring me, I'll go.
Jerry,
okay. Y'all really think you're going to sit here with a microphone and tell me all of the things that I've done wrong and without going over the rights?
Well,
now, listen, we both know we're talking to a lot of great fans and a lot of great listeners, and I am very sorry for what happened out there Sunday.
Walking it back a little.
I'm sick about what happened Sunday. Now, I'm not talking to these yahoos on the end of this phone. I'm talking to you, the fans that are listening this morning. And we can spend a lot of time going over zigging and zagging. One of the stupidest things I've ever done that anybody has ever analyzed is by the Cowboys. It was an idiot that did that. So idiot things can turn into good decisions.
What?
Okay? Smart things can turn into bad decisions. The facts are that when you make one, you don't really know whether it's going to be good or not at the time. So let's just go ahead. I'm trying to answer your questions, man. You want some conversation this morning? You're getting it.
That was a classic Jerry Jones on his weekly hit on 105.3 The Fan out in Dallas.
The number one hit.
Number one hit.
Chopper.
Jerry Jones.
First of all, listen. He's old. He wants to win championship.
He's mad.
He's mad.
The jerk store called.
They spent $240 million. And then you look at that trash on the field, and he's bitter about it. You couldn't spend money because you had to pay Dak, you had to pay CeeDee Lamb, and you still have to pay Micah Parsons. That's the reality of it. You have a lot of dead money. I'm looking at their dead money right now. You're talking $150 million, and so that's Dak Prescott alone of some of the money that they're gonna. You can't cut some of these guys. You can only fire people. So you look at some of these other teams that are struggling, whether it's the Jets, whether it's the Raiders. Now they're starting to move their parts around. They're already looking at next year. Davante Adams, that's the big story of the day today. He was traded to the New York Jets. He's reunited with Aaron Rodgers. It's what Aaron Rodgers wanted. But you're going from 1-2-4 team to another 2-4 team that, honestly, watching that game last night, no discipline. So you fired Robert Saleh. And I can't blame this on the new head coach because give this guy at least 5 games before he even develops an identity of what this team may look like in the future. But whoever number 54 is on the defense is an idiot. That guy, first of all, he throws down Josh Allen at one point, and then he swears at a referee, and that's 30 yards in penalties right there that actually hurt the Jets and helped the Bills. So that's the kind of stupidity that Jerry Jones is looking at. Woody Johnson is looking at this morning going, who are these guys? So you have to build a football team. You have to try to get guys that have some integrity, some guys that will stay disciplined and not throw it all away. And when you're on national television, it's easy to nitpick. But at the end of the day, Jerry did a lot of the stuff that most teams would have done. You re-signed your quarterback, which – as a Cowboys fan, I didn't like, but what are the alternatives? Who else are you going to get? This guy knows the offense. Where are you going to go? You're going to draft somebody? You went and got Trey Lance. You got him from the San Francisco 49ers. They gave up an awful lot to draft that knucklehead. So it's not easy to get star quarterbacks. It's not easy to get star running backs and rushers, all of this stuff. So to have Jerry go on there and kind of nitpick this guy after one of the worst losses in Cowboy history, this guy's not going to stand for it. So, yeah, he's a little bit bitter. He's old, and, he's calling these guys out for it.
It's the number one hit right now in Dallas. Let's go out to New York and see what's hitting in New York with, on the Manning cast, our man Bill Belichek throwing it down on the New York Jets.
You know what? Coach Salah did a good job with that program. I mean, he brought in a culture, a level of toughness and competitiveness. Unfortunately, the offense, hasn't been what, a lot of quarterbacks last year and a little bit of a slow start. But I thought Coach Salah really did a good job with this team. And, they're probably not that far away from winning. That's kind of what it's been there at the Jets. It barely won over 30% in the last 10 years. So the owner being the owner, just ready, fire, aim.
Yeah.
Ready, fire, aim. Love it.
Ready, fire, aim. We had some good ones. What did Jerry throw out there? Got some good conversation. We're
going to have it.
We're going to have it.
But Jerry getting ready to fire a guy for asking him a question. I mean, come on. That's ridiculous.
He's upset.
Get over yourself.
He
does.
He wants to have a platform, Kurt, to spew his whatever he wants to throw out there all the time and talk to his fans and stuff.
Cowboy
he
propaganda.
Thinks he's as big as Dak Prescott as far as the fans, and they're not. You're an owner. You're a billionaire. You've built a team that's worth over $10 billion.
But yes, but that this is their toy.
And exactly, it's an ego trip.
But
when the ego trip takes a hit, like this weekend,
true.
You're bruised.
Yes.
His ego is bruised right now.
Correct.
He didn't want to listen to it, but sometimes you gotta suck it up and hear that.
But he is right, just like Jim Irsay was right last year telling Jonathan Taylor this lesson. They're not going anywhere.
No.
the players, the radio station hosts, they're going to come, they're going to go.
We'll figure out a way to get rid of you.
The ownership, they're not going anywhere. They're not getting cut. They're not getting fired. They're not going anywhere. So Jerry's going to be on another radio station saying this again, win or lose. And
absolutely.
Get used to it.
And right now, that host is regretting asking that question, but give him the respect he deserves. He had to ask that question.
The Jets thing, I don't know.
I don't know why he brought up 1970 though. And by the way, I looked it up. 1970, the Cowboys were 10-4.
I don't know.
I don't know where the hell you're
upset.
coming from with that crap because I was 6 years old in 1970. What the hell are you talking about?
He's upset. I can't wait to see the new Jets and what the Jets are going to be in 2 weeks. And then the new Jets in 4 weeks. And then next year, those Jets. But then 2 years, what are those Jets going to look like? One thing I know, it's just going to be a bunch more headlines and a bunch more ridiculousness. The easier, or what I give you, Liberty beating the Lynx in Game 2 is a guarantee.
Thing, right?
The other guarantee, I think I said this a couple of weeks ago, Davante Adams will be a Jet. Why? Aaron Rodgers wants it that way.
Yep.
Why? Because they're doing whatever Aaron Rodgers says.
If you don't believe he wanted Salah gone, and the offensive coordinator Hackett demoted, you're crazy.
Right. It's all.
I believe he has that much pull because he probably said, "Listen, if you get me Davante Adams, I'll play another year."
Yeah.
Oh, we get to pay you $50 million for next year too. Cool. I mean, that's the kind of pull Aaron Rodgers has.
It seems like it's that dating equivalent of if she just realizes that I will do everything she says, she's bound to respect me.
Well, they're 2-4 right now.
That's stupid.
But
it's that stupid.
They have still a hope. Like, I'm just thinking Woody Johnson here that this is not Aaron's fault. Last year, he only played 4 plays. If he would play all year, they would have won the Super Bowl. Everybody knows that. And right now, they're 2-4 because we haven't given him what he needs. And as soon as we do, they're going to start winning. But if they become 2-8, 2-10, not making the playoffs, then that's going to run out eventually.
I honestly think, though, I mean, watching that, most of that entire game when I wasn't watching UConn playing basketball was that Aaron Rodgers didn't lose that football game. The lack of discipline and the stupid penalties that they took killed them. Pull back a touchdown. Yeah, the kicker. I agree with you on the kicking. I mean, it shouldn't come down to a kick to win or tie a football game, especially when you're down in the red zone as often as they were last night.
But I don't think adding Davante Adams changes those two things that you just said.
He's not going to make these guys more disciplined.
Right. They're still going to have stupid penalties all the time that cost them in very crucial moments, and they're not going to be able to kick. They're still going to have to live and die by the kicker.
I was shocked by some of the penalties, though. Some of them were away from the play. Some of them had nothing to do with the play.
Very emotional team. It needs to control their emotions so they don't get these 15-yarders that cost them football games.
But what did I say yesterday? I was waiting to see what kind of Aaron Rodgers we would get, what kind of leader we would get. I mean, I would love to know what he talked about after the game if he stood up and said, he just put his stuff on and left. I mean, he is the Hall of Famer on this team. And there's not that many guys right now that I'm going, yeah, that guy's a Hall of Famer, that guy's going on. Aaron Rodgers is going to the Hall of Fame. Aaron Rodgers has to act the part as a player coach at 40 years old.
Yeah.
And go in there and be like, guys, we can't win football games if we're doing this stuff.
I hate bringing old TB up, but when Tommy went to Tampa Bay, he owned it. When Gronk joined the team, he didn't say, I'm happy to see. I didn't say anything to this guy. No, I called Gronk. I did a commercial where I literally blew a horn for my guy to come in and play with me. Like, just own it, man. Like, we know that Hackett was brought in because you asked. Davante Adams is here because you guys wanted it. Like, every move that has been made. Lazard.
And by the way, Lazard.
Randall Cobb was on this team last year because you wanted it. Don't pretend that that's any different. And if he would just own it, then the rest of the team, I think, would fall along. I think a lot of the deflection stuff, again, even if it wasn't his fault last night, he needs to own it because that's the position.
Be a man. Own up to it because that's part of why we're paying you so much money.
But like you said, you're the Hall of Famer. You're the leader. Yes. You're the one we're looking to. If you're the one that's just pointing your finger and blaming us, then, oh man, I'm sorry. But if man, I don't want to mess it up for this guy because this guy's taking all the heat and all the arrows for us up there at the press conference. But I haven't seen that at all since he's been at New York. Now that Salah's gone, I don't think you have something to hide behind and point at and say, well, that guy, well, this guy. It's a whole new coaching staff because you wanted it.
He was the same way in Green Bay. Pointing it at McCarthy, pointing at the next guy, it's always hold yourself accountable first, and then since you're at the top, everybody else behind is like, hey, all right, now I know what to do because like I've told these stories, in nauseum. The Dave Parkers, the Buddy Bells, the Eric Davises, the Ken Griffey Seniors, those are the leaders that come to your locker.
Right.
They individually go to everybody and be like, listen, I need more out of you. I need more out of you when you're going good.
You'd rather
not
let
when
yourself
you're going
down.
That's
than
right.
them.
Exactly. So then you're like, now it's kind of you're beholding to your teammates.
Right.
That's the way this is what a family is built on.
Especially a football team.
But if I think Aaron Rodgers is 1 out of 53 and he's now the other 52 over here, he's over there and he's alienated these guys, it's not going to work.
Also, while we were talking, Amari Cooper to the Buffalo Bills.
Crazy. I want him back on the Cowboys. It's crazy. Crazy, but we need a running back in Dallas. Anyway, we'll take a quick break. We'll come back, do the first Sibs question of the day. Then Peter King will judge. We'll ask him what he thinks on this stuff, especially in New York with the Jets. Same old Jets, just a different year. We'll be right back on the Rob Dibble Show with Ben Darnell on your afternoon drive.